All right, I believe we're live. If you can't hear me, please do let me know. If you can't hear this at all, or you're having problems seeing the video, by commenting in the section for chat. All right, guys, my name is G. I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com, and I have been a professional consultant for Section 8 programs and federal programs, about 26 years now. And today I want to discuss a few updates regarding housing, the housing market, directly related to Section 8, low-income housing for those that don't use vouchers, and upcoming videos, as well as what's going to be happening regarding myself, our staff, and our company. So we're in summer. I believe we're a few days in, and every year, as I give warnings around December, the end of the year, I always give warnings about summers. Summers are more difficult. We have a higher number of people that seek out vouchers. Housing authorities have become clever in their ways to open up waiting lists too. They know when things get busy, it means they have more busy work. That means that they tend to like to open more frequently during non-summer months. So imagine that. Demand increases for the amount of people that need housing or vouchers or subsidies, and the housing authority obstructively decides that they're going to not open the waiting list during the summer, but more frequently during the winter months when there are less people. Now, I can see the method to the madness if you didn't actually want to earn your paycheck, but I think that's the methodology used quite frequently across the U.S. And at present, there are a little over 4,000 PHAs, or public housing authorities, some of which are just a small home in your neighborhood with a little old lady running the office, and that's it. In other places like Los Angeles, where there are 300 plus administrative staff, attorneys, and other things. So it can vary greatly from one county or state to another. Now, regarding my company, I have several side businesses. I do some e-commerce because we all have to think about our future. And the future that I'm looking at right now says to me a whole lot of there probably is not going to be a retirement. We don't live in our parents' generation and times. We don't live in our grandparents' generation and times. And so for me to willfully think that I can just take what I've saved and then probably be able to survive full retirement is probably not going to happen that way. So I've had to find several niche businesses that generate a little bit of business, 4 or 5 of them actually. And that way, if something happens destructively to any one of those 5, then the failure won't be catastrophic. In other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You've all heard that. It means that don't place all your bets on one thing. Try to diversify your portfolio so if there is a problem, only 1 or 5 things can fail, or maybe 2. So advice, at least for me, it may be sound, it may not be sound. But going back to the summertime market and housing and vouchers and subsidies and low-income and affordable housing, all these grand things out there for you guys, likely, if you got started now, you would likely potentially start to see some applications be accepted by end of summer. And of course, we move into a golden period, I call it, because after we hit October, the amount of people that want vouchers basically reduces little by little, and it reaches its height around the December 31st. In other words, the end of the year. So as we approach the end of the year, that's when it's probably the best to get in the market and find a voucher. That doesn't mean that all of you need to plan your circumstances around getting vouchers and housing for December or even in January. I'm just suggesting that if you plan your efforts during the worst point of the season, by the time all the footwork is done, like for instance, in our case, our company, we do it for our clients. We call it casework. And we put a lot of casework in it. So the first couple of months end up being a lot of work, but that's okay. It's a downtime where we're trying to generate efforts, and then all those efforts over months lead up to an offer of a voucher. So you can actually use the summertime as a way to get our applications out. And then by the time it's even going to be realistically considered by a PHA, you'll probably be in a golden period of the season, which again is about October through January, and then that peak starts to fall off through January, February, March, and April, and then May you're closing it out. Basically, it means that you're now reaching that critical point where there's less PHAs opening, or public housing authorities, and less opportunities. So We'll be arriving soon in a couple of months when we get through summer back in that golden area again. So now's a good time to consider your options. So I see there are a few comments there. I'm going to respectively address those in a few minutes because I'm one of those people. If you break my concentration, then the video will go badly. You won't understand what I'm saying. I'll seem rather confused at my age, right? And I'm almost 50 for those of you that don't know. All right, so looking at the market, I think it's pretty standard. There's nothing been unusual. Even when the pandemic hit, the only numbers and dynamics I really saw a change was the number of people that lost housing altogether was through the pandemic. We're clearly through that. We've seen the stress tests of this. I've seen it with over 20,000 clients through the pandemic, around 4,000. And so I've seen the worst of all of this outside of a natural event that would be more serious than the pandemic. And so I would say we're going to be reaching a level point pretty soon where it's going to seem like it's always been in the last 20 years. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have another great event. Of course, there's always localized events like weather that can change things. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and address these two questions here as best I can. Good morning, Douglas Schultz. I'm literally homeless and was just approved for Tarrant County. Now, I'm presuming that Tarrant County, guys, if you're going to mention counties and states, make sure you're clear about that, especially when mentioning a county. Indicate what state that you're in. I believe Tarrant is either Dallas, Texas, possibly, but I could be wrong. There are tens of thousands of counties across the country, so it's hard to know. Anyways, Tarrant County Homeless Coalition of Permanent Supportive Housing. I do have partial amputation of the foot, but can walk short distance. Can you see me? Well, I can tell you this, Douglas. You're already in PSH, which is Permanent Supportive Housing. And for those that don't know, Permanent Supportive Housing, emergency housing vouchers, and rapid rehousing are all wrapped under a system called Coordinated Entry System, or the Continuum of Care. And that addresses people that are in imminent homeless situations or less. And it sounds like you're already involved in that situation there. Now, you did go on to say, can you see me? Well, I'm guessing that you're suggesting that you'd like to speak with my office. If that's the case, we left some information in all of our videos, linkage to our booking software. I don't really charge that much considering what I'm trading with most of my clients, which is how to navigate the system. So that's something you have to make a choice with there. But if you have questions, Doug, you can reach out to our website, and we're happy to discuss it with you and discuss your case. Chrissy, good morning. How are you doing? You know, I feel a bit naked today without my cats. Usually I've got a Kiki or a cat in the video, considering I've had upwards of over 20 cats rescued, many of which will jump on my chair. And you see all the claw marks, holes in the chair there. Today, they're not here. I expected at least Bunny, my disabled kitten or cat, to visit us, but it looks like he's not coming. So Chrissy O goes on to say, so if I put in the moving notice, will it take me to October to move? Well, the moving notice, professionally referred to, or by HUD under Title 24, would be portability. So if you're attempting to port your housing choice voucher, you would want to first notify your local housing authority. And I know you're not asking for directions as to how to do this, but let me suggest this. Portability is one of the easiest things to do regarding all matters concerning Section 8 and vouchers and housing. However, if you don't plan properly for this, you could end up losing everything you own in a hotel because the proper process wasn't followed and the receiving housing authority decides to later deny your claim. So I would advise Chrissy to make very, very sure before you engage in doing this. And, there are people out here that will tell you, oh, well, I've done this before, it's fine. There's no problem. I don't need to speak to anybody about that. Well, a lot of you guys don't understand. A lot of PHAs or public housing authorities, they operate very differently. Some professionally, some not. And I've watched them hang people out to dry. Oh yeah, come on, Port. We're gonna do this, and they don't do it. And you land there, and you burn up all your money at a hotel. You eventually lose all your shit in storage, and next thing you know, you're left penniless in a homeless shelter. I caution you to make sure you're planning properly, Chrissy. If you've done it before and you're comfortable and you're certain, then I would say put in your 30-day notice, notify both PHAs. But before you gas up your car and move to one county to another or another state, you make damn sure that you've been approved, okay? And that you have the paperwork at hand. Because having a discussion later when you arrive in the new town is not the way you want to do this. Also, making sure that your landlords agree with this and you're not in violation of lease, okay? So moving on from there, I want to give you updates regarding our company. So, we ran at full operation for all those years, over 20 years, right? And then we moved it down to half, which means I'm only accepting half as many appointments as I did probably through the pandemic, which was a lot. We had a waiting list, and probably you couldn't even get an appointment with me without waiting 2 months. It was literally that many people. Now the pandemic's gone and wore me out a bit in terms of talking to people. So we're on to half. We're going to be reducing that down to a third schedule. In other words, 1/3 of my former schedule all these years. Most of you are not going to notice the significant difference there, but I'm going to be very particular about the cases that we accepted. And what I mean by cases, I don't mean those that book appointments for 15 or 30 minutes or an hour. What I mean are those of you that are asking me to actively engage my staff and myself in casework with you, okay? And for those that are intending on booking that, we're not going to be taking any fruitless cases, okay? If I suspect that there is an overwhelming issue related to mental health, where you're unable to properly function and carry through the case, we will not accept it. I've had a long history of accepting the most seriously mentally ill people and working with them through the process. But what I'm finding is in late stages of this, I don't have the same energy I used to. So if you're suffering from schizophrenia, bipolar, and other issues, I'm still happy to accept your cases, but I need to know that those of you that are suffering from many different types of mental health issues, that you'll still be able to participate adequately and follow the policies and procedures that are outlined by both HUD and federal regulation, okay? If you're having flights of fancy too frequently and it proves to be too much work, then we may decide to terminate the case, okay? I haven't had any recent episodes of that, not like last year. Last year was bad. I had people fool me. They would have moments of real clarity. They'd book an appointment. I'd accept the appointment. Of course, they would de-evolve into complete madness. Next thing I know, they're 2 months into a mental health hold at a mental health facility. And then, of course, the case falls apart because you can't get in the market for housing and vouchers and then not communicate with the PHA when they try to give you a voucher, okay? So I'm not trying to embarrass or shame anybody. I'm just suggesting that we need to be a little bit more careful with a little bit of time that I have remaining. Now, full retirement rollout will probably be 2 to 5 years, and then we will permanently close after all these years. I'm waiting really to see the fundamentals and the numbers on what we're doing through our other sales and businesses, that are going to help me with my retirement. I think Section 8 will, when I say fully closed, I don't mean all the way. I think that we'll still accept short calls for advice, but we're going to probably terminate casework altogether 2 to 5 years. As soon as I see proof of concept where I can comfortably retire, then I'm going to eliminate casework altogether because it's a huge source of dragging time, and so I have to use my time wisely. When I was younger, I could do this 20 hours a day. I can't do it that way anymore. And of course, I have a life to live. And the older you get, the more you want to spend time doing things that you enjoy versus trying to work yourself into the ground. Okay. So I think you all understand that. So beyond that video schedule, look, guys, I've tried every way possible to make video schedules. The problem is when you're trying to run 4 or 5 companies, including consulting as the primary aspect of my career, it becomes challenging. So I can tell you guys that I'm going to make my greatest effort to make videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 10 a.m. in the morning. And that would be 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the video, if you're already subscribed or you're following our channel, then you'll get a notification. And for those that can arrive, sometimes you'll see a video and sometimes you'll arrive and I won't be there. I don't use YouTube as a way to make a living. So I don't have a strict schedule, but I'm going to do my best on those 3 days to do what I can. There will also be periods where I don't make videos, sometimes for weeks, because if I have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients, so does my staff. And if we have a lot of cases, I will not be able to make videos. So I know that's aggravating for a lot of you, but that's the way it must go. I have made over 1,000 videos at this point over a long period of time. I probably covered every topic 50 times, Well, guys, I'm going to start wrapping this up. We had a short audience. Of course, that usually happens when you haven't made a video for weeks and weeks and weeks. I would like for you guys to join me tomorrow, which will be the 25th, Tuesday, the 25th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be speaking about veterans and VA programs for those who need housing and vouchers. And then following that video, on another day, likely Thursday, I'm going to cover a topic that's very popular, which is going to be the HUD homeownership program. That's you guys utilizing your voucher in lieu of trying to purchase a home. Explain how that process works professionally. And I'm not going to be giving the same angle as all these other channels, because those other channels that make videos regarding the subject matter, these are house flippers. They're not consultants. They're not professionals. They're just giving their varied opinions on what's going on in their own city. I'm going to give you the federal definition. I'm also going to cover it from a wide perspective and understanding of how that actually really works. And I'll be able to show you a human element of that too, because our company has successfully helped probably about 500 people over the years navigate the system. But I want you to tell you something. Any of you guys ever watched a video regarding Navy SEALs? Good comparison. Only about 10 or 15% of the people that manage to go after HUD ownership actually get it. And why? Well, it isn't the housing authority trying to derail you. It's a lack of information, understanding, or even patience. So that program is only for those of you that are willing to survive the large amount of adversity, deal with problems, prepared to make changes when necessary, change the way that you're doing it. So I would only encourage those of you that have had a voucher for a minimum of 1 year, you've successfully proven, to inquire about something like that. Okay. And I find that individuals over the age of 40 do much better than young adults with it, because I think that there's enough maturity there. But I won't say that there aren't young people that wouldn't be able to help as well in terms of trying to get that program done. So just be aware, it's a tough program. It takes a good duration of time. I often have to work with clients in minimum of a year, sometimes up to 18 months to get through the HUD homeownership program. And it will challenge you mentally, physically. You know, it's got its issues, trust me. But for those of you that really want it and are highly persistent, like my seniors will get mad and go, you know what? I've got involved in this. I didn't put my time in here, and I'm not going to stop until I get what I'm going to get. That's the one thing I love about people that are closer to being a senior. And when they say they're going to do HUD homeownership, they mean business. Once you anger somebody that's older or a senior, they're determined, greater than any person I've ever seen. I wish I could instill that kind of will in those of you that are middle-aged to young. That way you don't give up so often. So veterans, we'd like to discuss that again for vouchers for tomorrow, and hopefully we're going to cover the HUD homeownership in a new way. And I'm going to explain different stories of different clients. That means you'll be able to see how that plays out with different clients in different counties, in different states, in different scenarios. Again, if every housing authority operates like its own little nation, that means that you have a varying response or responsibility, and it can be anywhere from hellish to somewhat easy to be able to get through to navigate HUD homeownership. And just so we're clear, HUD homeownership programs are not offered in every housing authority in America. Maybe 20 years ago, but not anymore. So there's a limit. If you don't live in a county with a housing authority that offers it, and along with family self-sufficiency program, then you may not be able to do it unless you port or we assist you with portability. Okay. Well, guys, I've kind of enjoyed warming up again and getting used to being in the video. Believe it or not, even though I made 1,000 videos, I'm always a little bit nervous when I come back on 3 weeks later. I never know if my tone's going to be comfortable and whether or not I'll be able to share without skipping a beat there. So moving on, and for the last topic, for those of you that are struggling with this system or having an issue related to your housing authority, your landlord, your vouchers, your subsidy, low-income housing, affordable housing, or any other issue related to it, if you've exhausted all your possibilities, you have conceivably covered all efforts that you can to resolve your problem or get a voucher, then maybe it's time to consider working with a consultant that's been doing this a long time. One with a notable reputation, and I'm probably one of the most well-known consultants in the nation at this point, and probably one of the few remaining. So if you've exhausted all possibilities, then I would say to you that consider speaking with our office, and we'll see whether or not we can help you. Just to be clear, guys, it's always wiser to spend a few dollars on a short appointment just to see whether or not it would be a fruitful effort for you. Not every person is, people are built differently. That means around 99% of the people I speak with, we can move forward. So 1% may be too conspicuous or too paranoid, or they want too much and become too difficult to deal with as a company. So not everybody's going. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of Kool-Aid. Okay, just keep that in mind. And also on Tuesday, I'm hoping to bring one of our Kikis in and show y'all Big Tom, my big Maine Coon guy. So guys, if you are a pet lover, you'll enjoy our channel. And I do brag about them a lot in my videos. If you don't quite enjoy me bringing up my pets or my love for them, then this is not the channel for you. Okay? All right, guys, I want you to enjoy your week. We'll see you again tomorrow, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.